Gourd eating system plus hilarious plus whole family mind reading technique. After living for 20 years, Su-An suddenly gained a melon eating system and learned that the world she lived in was a book, while her entire family was a villain. Su-An. Is her family a villain? At the same time, the Su family suddenly could hear Su Anan's voice. The whole family is a villain. How could it be? They are all law-abiding and good citizens. Then, they began the journey of eating melons and putting them on a show of decayWhat. The old man of the Shen family got involved with his nanny. But isn't he almost 80? The Su family collectively looked at Mr. Shen and the nanny, their eyes quite admiring. They were old and strong. At a certain banquet, there are new melons. A domineering CEO may appear cold on the outside, but in fact, he has been plagued by hemorrhoids and even applied ointment to attend the banquet. The Su family's gaze at the CEO became meaningful. Tsk, indeed, people cannot be judged by their appearance. No wonder his standing posture is a bit awkward. Hey. He just secretly picked his butt with his hands. After the banquet, the Su family tacitly shortened the time to use the restroom, and they absolutely cannot have hemorrhoids. In a certain business field, Su's father has tasted new melons again, which is still the new melons of his partner. The seemingly calm and steady 40-year-old elegant partner actually likes to wear women's clothing privately. I also enjoy playing role-playing with my wife. Su's father imagined the scene for a moment, then lowered his head. That's it. The image in his mind couldn't be erased, and suddenly he couldn't bear to look straight at his partner. What should he do? The life of eating melons is really enjoyable. As for being the villain. Who loves to be, who should be? They are busy eating melons every day. Chapter 1. What? My whole family is a villain. You are listening at novel.Audio. How could that be? You said the world I'm in is a book. How could that be? Su-An heard about the system in her mind and felt that the world had suddenly become magical. The world she has lived in for 20 years is a book, and she is the vicious supporting lady in this book. Her whole family is still villains. System. Please accept reality as soon as possible. I am here to change the fate of the host. Su-An. May I ask what you know? How can you help me change my destiny? Upon hearing this, the system fell silent for a moment and then said with a bit of confidence, I know the secrets of everyone in this world. I can tell you anything you want. With these secrets, you can change your destiny according to the situation. Su-An's eyes lit up instantly and she said, then can I eat melons all the time? System. Can't it be a bit profitable? However, it still said, it can be said that this ability depends on how the host utilizes it. Su-An. Okay. From today on, you will be my melon eating system. Let's be the happiest girl in the melon field together. As for the malicious female lead, whoever likes to be the one. She doesn't know who the ghost male lead and female lead are. The system is speechless to the extreme. Is this really a malicious female supporting character? Is there any malicious female partner who thinks about eating melons every day? At this moment, in front of Su Anan's door, the three members of the Su family collectively petrified. They listened to everything happening inside clearly. No. The world they live in is just a book. Why is the whole family a villain? They don't look like villains anymore. Although their family has money, the source of this money is legal. They are all law-abiding and good citizens. How could it be a villain? Fake. It must be fake. Definitely they didn't wake up, they were dreaming. Otherwise, how could they possibly hear someone else's voice? But during dinner at night, listening to the rich inner activities of their daughter, sister, the three of them completely recognized each other. Su-An is currently eating his own melons with the melon eating system. Looking at her handsome brother, Su-An asked a question. System, let me ask you a question. My brother is 26 years old and doesn't have a girlfriend. Is his body really okay? The other wealthy second generation in their circle were surrounded by women before reaching adulthood, but her brother's side didn't even have a female mosquito. Is that really a problem? Which villain is so pure and self-centered? She really doubts the setting of their entire family as villains. Su Jingyan paused as he chewed in his mouth, feeling in his heart. Su's father and mother turned their heads to look at their own son with curiosity in their eyes. To be honest, they were also curious about why their son still hasn't had a girlfriend, or why he hasn't been in a relationship yet. The system explained speechlessly, "Your brother is normal. He doesn't want to be in love simply because he doesn't want to be in love. However, there are people who like him, still men, and there are more than one. Su'an. Is it so exciting?" Su's father and mother also widened their eyes at the same time. Their son doesn't attract women and men. The couple put down their chopsticks at the same time and quietly watched the situation on their son's side. After hearing the system's words, Su Jingyan was directly choked by her own saliva. What kind of thing? Which man likes him? Su'an's heart was filled with excitement. She didn't expect such excitement to happen to her brother. She really couldn't wait to know who it was. Quickly tell me who the man who likes my brother is. It should be someone around him. The system searched and replied, there is indeed someone around him, and your family knows him. His name is Tang, and he seems to be a good friend of your brother. Tang. When the Su family of 4 heard this name, their hearts exploded. Tang and Su Jingyan are brothers who grew up together since childhood, and their relationship is also very good. It can be said that Tang is a non-staff member of their Su family. Su'an quietly glanced at her own brother, who was indeed very handsome. He was tall, had long legs, wide shoulders, and narrow waist, but why didn't he only kill men instead of women? I really don't understand. Su Jingyan's heart is about to collapse at the moment. His best brother wants to sleep in his heart, damn it. Goosebumps are all getting up. Su's father and mother looked at their daughter's eyes, then at their son's face, and then silently lowered their head. They really don't understand the things about young people, and their acceptance ability is relatively good. After all, society is so open now, as long as they genuinely like it, they will have no objections to future daughter.in-law men and women. Just need to accept it well in your heart, after all, this matter is too explosive. Looking at her handsome brother, Su'an shook her head in her heart. Her brother probably didn't know that his brother had any strange thoughts about him, right? Should she find a chance to remind him? Su Jingyan. Thank you, no need. I already know. This dinner was particularly quiet and lively, after all, they knew about an explosive news. After finishing her meal, Su'an returned to her room and decided to find a way to protect her brother's chastity. Tang is just one of the people who likes him, and there are still some that although the system says they won't be encountered yet, they still need to be prepared. A man's chastity is also very important. She vows to protect her brother's chastity to the death. As soon as Su'an returned to the room, the remaining family of 3 arrived at the conference hall very tacitly. They are all human sperm, and their family, except for Su Anan, who is well protected by them, has basically 800 hearts per person. So at the dinner table, they can also see each other's various small movements clearly. You should also be able to hear Anan's voice, Su Fu said directly. Su's mother and Su Jing nodded, and we also know that the world we live in is a book, and our whole family is still a villain. Su's father sighed slightly and said, although I don't know what's going on, Anan suddenly has a certain system, and we suddenly have the ability to read her heart. This can no longer be seen as ordinary things. Jing Yan, do you have any thoughts on what just happened at the dinner table? When Su Jingyan thought of what had happened at the dinner table, his cold expression almost cracked open. He really didn't expect his best brother to have any strange thoughts about him. My heart is very chaotic now. Su Jingyan rubbed his eyebrows, his tone a bit irritable. Su's parents exchanged a glance and sighed, "You have to solve this matter on your own. We can't get involved, but we are also very open-minded. We don't care whether our future daughter-in-law is male or female. Whatever you like is fine." Su Jingyan originally thought his parents were joking, but looking at their serious expressions, he was speechless. "No. Your ability to accept is probably too good." Chapter 2. Drivers Melon, driving their luxury car to scam people. You are listening at novel.Audio. After Su'an returned to her room, she started searching online for various anti-wolf props to protect her brother's chastity. How about this wolf tooth stick, but it seems a bit too big and inconvenient to carry with you. This telescopic stick is also okay, but if you accidentally touch this button, it can be a bit dangerous. Forget it, let's find it again. Su'an looked at these anti-wolf props online, as if they were not very useful and not very convenient to carry around. The system looked at her enthusiastic expression and couldn't help but say, "You guys really have a lot of miscellaneous things, but can these things be useful?" Su'an retorted, "Why is it unnecessary? It's just that you can't use it. I think this anti-wolf spray is very good. Portable, compact, and convenient to carry. When in danger, spray directly on the other person's face, perfect. That's it. System, in the future, you need to be more proactive. If there are any new melons, please let me know in a timely manner. Don't make me keep asking like today. If I don't ask today, what if my brother's chastity really disappears in the future? System. What's wrong with suddenly wanting to curse? It is a system that saves villains, why has it inexplicably become a melon-eating system now? Su Jingyan is now lying in bed without any drowsiness. There have been too many things happening today, and he needs to digest them well. How could it be? How could Tang possibly like him? Maybe he was really mistaken, maybe that system was really mistaken. Su Jingyan was skeptical about what the system said, but he still had a moment of defense in his heart. The next morning, Su Jingyan had to go to work, and his face was tired while drinking coffee. Su'an thought her brother was suffering from insomnia when she saw him like this. "Brother, did the company encounter something? I see that your face seems a bit off this morning." Su Jingyan didn't know how to answer at all. He turned his pleading gaze towards his parents, and Su's father silently turned his head. Su Jingyan. Su's mother still didn't have the heart, so she casually made an excuse and said, "Your brother is because of personal matters, not because of the company." Alas, why do you care so much as a child? Today, I want to go shopping with your little sisters. If you don't start, you will be late. Su'an shook her head and said, "I'm not going shopping anymore. Shopping is boring, why don't I follow my brother to the company? The system says that their family members are all malicious villains, but she wants to know what their family members have done to become malicious villains. If it were really some illegal activities, then there would still be time to stop them now. So she decided to spend more time with her family and not go out to play with those friends. Anyway, she's not a true friend." Listening to the voice of their daughter, sister, the three of them were speechless. They are stupid, that's why they do illegal and criminal things. Stop it, stop it. Su Jingyan didn't want to take Su Anan to the company, but he couldn't resist her persistent pestering. As the siblings went out, Su's mother couldn't help but say to her son, "Take good care of your sister at the company. If anything happens, let us know promptly when you come back." The scope of what happened is quite extensive, mainly referring to Su'an and the system. Su Jingyan nodded to indicate that he knew. As soon as she got into the car, Su'an began to feel uneasy. After all, the journey was quite boring. Suddenly, the system's prompt sound came to mind. Although it was not satisfied with its transformation into a melon-eating system, it still did a good job of meeting Su Anan's requirements. "Your driver has a melon, would you like to listen?" Su'an's eyes lit up instantly. Listen. Why not listen? Su Jingyan also quietly glanced over. Although he didn't understand what would happen to the driver, it didn't affect his curiosity. Your driver often drives your car to pick up girls, pretends to be wealthy, and even deceives many people. Really? The Su siblings looked at the driver in front together. The driver was quite simple and honest, but they didn't expect to know both face and heart. The system continued. He has recently enlarged the belly of a female student who is currently inquiring and knows that he is from your company. Tomorrow, she will come to your company to cause trouble. Su'an really wants to curse. This dirty water just splashed directly on them, right? If they really go to the company to cause trouble, their company's reputation will definitely be damaged. If someone else posts it online, the consequences would be unimaginable. Su Jingyan was a bit angry in her heart, but her emotions were not as volatile as Su Anan's. The resolution of this matter is also relatively simple. If the system is telling the truth, it has helped them a favor. Otherwise, if something happens, it is difficult for them to explain, and the person who completed it probably thought they were shirking responsibility. However, Su Jingyan wanted to know what Su Anan would do, and she would never have seen such a thing happen. Su'an is indeed trying to figure out a way now, but her brain of eating, drinking, and playing really can't come up with any solutions. Woo, I can't figure out what to do. Why don't I just find a reason to dismiss him? System. No use, the female student has already inquired about your company, and it has been confirmed. The dismissal is also too late. Su'an. So what do you say? We can't just do nothing. System. Tell your brother that he is smarter than you, and asking him to solve this matter is just a matter of one sentence, your brain. The system didn't finish speaking later, but Su'an understood the meaning behind it. Su'an. Do you want to insult people like this? I'm also very smart, okay? I graduated from a prestigious university too. Su Jingyan looked at her silly little sister and it seemed that she didn't look very smart. Su'an looked at her brother quietly. How should she tell him? Can she just tell him directly? How about giving it a try? Upon hearing her idea, Su Jingyan was speechless. She said it was serious, and was she not afraid that he wouldn't believe it? Su'an couldn't handle so much anymore. She couldn't say that in front of the person in the car, so she took out her phone and directly sent a message to Su Jingyan. Listening to the beep on his phone, Su Jingyan opened it and his expression suddenly became particularly complex. The message sent is like this. Anan. Brother, there's something big I want to tell you, but you need to be prepared. Your driver is a scumbag who even drives our car out to deceive people. The girl who deceived him is already pregnant and will come to our company tomorrow to cause trouble. Can you find a way to solve it? Su Jingyan turned his head to look at Su Anan, who gave him a dry smile with a hint of flattery. Su Jingyan. Can't you just come up with an excuse? What if he doesn't believe what he said so straightforwardly? If he couldn't hear her voice, he might not really believe it. After all, this driver usually looks quite honest and drives well. The system is also speechless now. It thought she told Su Jingyan to find a reasonable excuse, but this person just said it. If someone else believed it, there would be a ghost. Chapter 3. Su'an prepares anti-wolf spray for Su Jingyan. Men also need to protect themselves. You are listening at novel full.audio. Looking at her brother's speechless expression, Su'an also felt a bit awkward. She originally wanted to find a reasonable excuse, but how should she find it? Who has nothing to do but pay attention to a driver? Su Jingyan sighed slightly as she looked at her silly little sister. Forget it, she has been so foolish since childhood that she has become accustomed to it. If she were smart, it would be strange. He sent a message saying, I will check it. Upon seeing the news, Su'an finally calmed down. His brother said he would investigate, so he would definitely investigate, which means this matter has been resolved. As soon as she arrived at the company, Su'an was arranged to play in the office by herself. I'll have a video conference later. Don't run around here. If you need anything, just ask Assistant Lu. Su'an nodded obediently. While holding a video conference, Su Jingyan also had to distract herself from observing Su Anan. This girl has been a constant presence since childhood. She may seem obedient, but sometimes what she does can really scare people to death. Halfway through the meeting, Tang suddenly sent a message. Tang, brother, didn't we schedule a camping trip up the mountain last time? Are you available this weekend? Su'an sat next to Su Jingyan and also saw the news. She widened her eyes and looked at her own brother. Don't agree. Don't agree. This lonely and widowed man is too dangerous. Su Jingyan was speechless. What does it mean to be alone or widowed? How could this person still create their own vocabulary? However, he really can't easily go out with Tang now, but this mountain climbing was agreed upon before, and it was postponed several times due to work issues, so it's hard to refuse now. After thinking for a moment, Su Jingyan finally agreed. Maybe that system was wrong this time, after all, they are brothers who have been together for so long. If there is really a problem, you can also test it out from this activity, and then you will know if what the system is saying is true. Su'an was so angry that she jumped up when she saw her own brother agreeing like this. She angrily asked the system in her heart, System. What should I do? What should I do with my brother's chastity? The system is speechless. You ask me how I know, but he does seize the opportunity to take advantage of your brother, such as touching hands and hugging. Su'an. This is too abnormal. Su Jingyan felt a chill in his heart. Indeed, he was a bit abnormal. No wonder Tang would be next to him every time he went out for a party. Su'an immediately opened his mobile phone to check where his online shopping express was. Now it is urgent to prevent the wolf spray. After the meeting, Su Anan earnestly grabbed her elder brother and said, Brother, are you really going hiking with Tang on the weekend? Su Jingyan nodded and said, Go ahead, do you have any questions? Su'an hesitated and didn't know what to say. The online shopping items won't arrive until tonight, why don't we give them to him tonight? Su Jingyan heard her voice, What is online shopping? She bought something online again, and it was still for him. In the evening, the package was delivered to the door. Su'an secretly brought the package back to her room. Su Jingyan originally wanted to follow her, but felt it was not suitable, so she restrained her curiosity and waited in her room. What is your sister secretly doing? She probably bought something messy again, Su Mu couldn't help but ask as she looked at her daughter. Su Jingyan said, It should be something bought for me. When I was at work, I heard her say in her heart that she gave me a gift last night. The Su family's parents immediately widened their eyes upon hearing these words. Why should I give you a gift alone? What did you do before she gave you a gift? Su's father itched as he looked at his son's expression of wanting to be beaten. Perhaps I took good care of her today, said Su Jingyan with a hint of boasting. Su'an has never stopped talking in the company. She has a variety of snacks and delicious food to eat, and there are also people to play games with her. Anyway, she is taken care of very well. Although his original intention was to prevent this little ancestor from causing trouble, his service attitude is definitely self-evident. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Su Anan promptly knocked on Su Jingyan's door. Looking at the parents and brothers inside, she felt a bit confused. She frantically asked the system in her heart, What's going on? Why are my parents here? How can I take out the things? System. Just take it out directly, okay? Su'an. Can this thing be taken out directly? I chose it at this time just to give it to my brother privately. What should I give privately? Su's father and mother looked at each other with confusion in their eyes. Su Jingyan suddenly had a bad premonition. Su'an bravely walked over and handed the box to Su Jingyan's hand, saying, Brother. This is for you. The jealousy of Su's parents was about to explode. Looking at the box in their son's hand, they gritted their teeth and said, "Since it's a gift from Ananda to you, why don't we open it and take a look together?" Su Jingyan instinctively wanted to refuse, but his father snatched the box and opened it. Looking at the 4 bottles of anti-wolf spray in the box, they petrified directly. At this moment, Su'an was toying and desperately asking the system what to do, but the system was blocked by her argument. What can be done? Cold salad. I don't know how this thing became a malicious female supporting character, is it really not mistaken? Su Jingyan looked at the 4 bottles of anti-wolf spray and asked stiffly, "What does that mean?" Su'an smiled dryly and moved outside while saying, "Brother, I saw your news today. Aren't you going hiking and camping with Tang on the weekend? This is what I prepared for you, and men should also take good care of themselves. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Good night." After speaking, she flashed, leaving 3 people in the room with awkward faces. Go hiking with Tang. The Su family looked at their son with disbelief on their faces. "Jingyan, do you really want to go hiking and camping with Tang?" said Su Mu with a hint of embarrassment. Su Jingyan took a deep breath and nodded. "He has already arranged with me many times. I have evaded him a few times before due to work, but this time it's not easy to evade." Looking at his son, Su Fu also knew that he was uncomfortable. He patted his son on the shoulder and comforted him, saying, "It's okay. It's just hiking and camping. You should take these 4 bottles of anti-wolf spray that your sister prepared for you and keep them in your pocket all the time. When sleeping at night, it's best to have 1 tent per person. How about I buy you a lock and directly lock the zipper so that people outside can't open it?" Su Jingyan's lips twitched and he said in a rather speechless voice, "This is too exaggerated, shouldn't it be like this?" The Su couple retorted in unison, "Why not? Men should also take good care of themselves." Chapter 4. Su's father's Melon, he doesn't like your brother, he likes your father. You are listening at novel full.audio. Looking at the tense appearance of her parents, Su Jingyan now has no idea what her mood should be like. This is really a speechless mother opening the door for speechless. Speechless has arrived home. Facing his parents' expectant and worried eyes, he finally took away the 4 bottles of anti-wolf spray and promised to take them with him when climbing the mountain on the weekend. After Su'an returned to the room, she covered her head under the blanket. Ah. Why were my parents in my brother's room? It was really awkward just now. She specifically chose a sleeping time to pass by, but unexpectedly ran into her parents. They probably don't think she's sick, do they? Watching her collapse, the system said thoughtfully, "Relax, as long as you're not embarrassed, it's someone else, and what you're saying is indeed true. Men should also need to take good care of themselves." Su'an. Thank you. Time is approaching the weekend soon, and Su'an was worried all night last night and didn't fall asleep. The next morning, early in the morning, she squatted in front of Su Jingyan's door. When Su Jingyan opened the door, he didn't notice that she almost stepped on it, leaving people under her feet. Su'an watched as the big foot almost stepped on her head. Upon hearing the familiar voice, Su Jingyan quickly took a step back and looked at the little potato in front of him, his face speechless. "You're full and holding on, what are you doing in front of my room in the morning?" Su'an pounded her numb leg and struggled to stand up from the ground. "I'm worried about you, are you really going hiking and camping with Tang?" Su Jingyan let out a sigh. Although he knew she was worried about him, he was already tired of saying the same answer several times a day. "Go, you ask me a few similar questions every day, don't you feel bored?" Su Anan murmured in silence. "Who is not tired? I am not worried about you, otherwise who cares so much about you?" At this point, the system added, "Tang also prepared wine, specifically for your brother." Su'an. What did he prepare the wine for? Did he get my brother drunk? He's too petty, isn't he? Upon hearing the system prompt, Su Jingyan felt a thud in her heart, and quickly perked up her ears to listen. System. I don't know about this. Anyway, he prepared drinks, and he only prepared one tent. Su Jingyan quickly took out his phone and looked at it. Yesterday, Tang did send a message saying that he didn't need to prepare the tent or something. He had already prepared everything. This is what he prepared. Just prepare a tent. Su'an felt even more uneasy when she heard the system's words. Looking at her brother, who was looking at her in front of her, she looked worried and said, I can't say anything if you want to go hiking with your friends to record, but you must bring the things I prepared for you that night. Su Jingyan nodded stiffly. Originally, he only intended to bring one bottle, but now he plans to bring all 4 bottles, just in case. Worried by brothers from childhood to adulthood, who believes it when it comes to speaking out. After breakfast, Su Jingyan went out under the gaze of the whole family, and he even took a tent from Su's father before leaving. Su'an sighed as she looked at the distant cars, but she had already said what she needed to say and what she needed to do. The next thing was fate. System. Oh, don't worry so much. If Tang really dared to take action, he would have already taken advantage of your brother. Su'an. Isn't it serious to take advantage of others? My brother is still a beautiful young man. Su's father and mother were listening to their daughter's conversation with the system with their ears propped up. When they heard this beautiful young man, they almost choked on their own saliva. The description of the maiden is quite vivid, and I don't know what's going on. Although his son is not bad looking and has excellent conditions, he doesn't have many girls around him. I never heard of him getting close to any girl when I was in school. To be honest, they had also suspected their son's sexual orientation before. Su'an still asked the system anxiously, you said before that there was more than one man who liked my brother, and who else were there? Su's parents quickly pretended to take water to drink and got closer. It's about my son's chastity. This can't be careless. The system may have been counting the number of people, waiting for several seconds before answering. There are 3 more. One is a partner of your family who knows and has a good relationship with your father. One is the son of the partner, and the other is your brother's former college student, but he has no connection with your brother. He is also married and has children in another city, but he still has a crush on your brother in his heart. Su'an was stunned. Her brother is such a straight guy. No, are these people blind? His brother looks good, and all the conditions are indeed good, but who can bear that temper and mouth? She can't say anything good in her mouth, and every time she talks to him, she wants to kill him. Su'an really didn't understand. Those people really have eye problems, right? Do they want to go see an ophthalmologist? Sitting beside them, Su's parents were also stunned. They took a sip of tea and calmed down their hearts. It's too exciting. After living for decades, the most exciting thing happened to my own son. Su's father quickly took out his phone and sent a message to Su Jingyan. When Su Jingyan sat in the car and saw the message sent by his old father, his emotions almost exploded. What the hell? What's going on with partners? What's wrong with the partner's son? And that unknown junior? The driver in front looked at the boss's unattractive expression and felt uneasy. The driver has already changed, and the previous one has already been fired. Su Jingyan handled the matter very cleanly. However, the driver was quite miserable. He was charged with rape by that girl, and it is estimated that he will either squat down in the future or the outcome will not be too good. Su'an is still curious about who the partner and their son are, and as for the junior student, there is no intersection that can be ignored. After calming down in her heart, Su surprisingly took out melon seeds and nibbled on them beside her. She turned on the TV and pretended to be watching a TV drama, but in fact, all her attention was on Su'an's side. Su's father looked a bit speechless at his wife's appearance, but it's really delicious to eat melons while munching on melon seeds. He also quickly fell. Su'an. You said you know my dad and have a good relationship with that partner, isn't it Uncle Zheng? Su's parents quickly leaned slightly to listen. System. Not him, he likes your dad but doesn't like your brother. Puff. Su's father was drinking water, but when he heard this, he couldn't help but burst out. Chapter 5. Why do all the men in their family attract men? You are listening at novel full.audio. Su'an and Su Mu have almost petrified. They didn't hear it wrong, did they? Su'an looked at the dad next to him who was spraying water, and while eating with the system, she thoughtfully pulled out a tissue for him and said, "Dad, are you okay?" Su's father took the tissue and wiped his mouth while giving a dry smile. This TV drama is so hilarious, it makes my water spray out, he said. Su'an glanced at the idol drama and it was a bit ridiculous. The male and female leads could talk to each other no matter how they fell. At this moment, Su's mother was looking at her husband. Although there were some wrinkles at the corners of her eyes, he was indeed very nice, otherwise she wouldn't have liked him back then. Although Su's father is over 40 years old, his figure has not deformed, and the wrinkles around his eyes only add a sense of stability, making him look more gentle and refined. When I was still working in the company before, there were indeed young girls posting on it, but she really didn't expect that there would still be men who liked him. Looking at his wife's gaze, Su's father was about to break out in a cold sweat. Why look at him with such eyes? It's not his fault, and he doesn't know either. Su'an is still inquiring with the system. Originally, she just wanted to know who the person who likes her brother is, but now she still needs to inquire about her father's situation. The system can only meet all her requirements, after all, it is the host she has chosen, and even crying can be favored. The two people who like your brother are father and son, surnamed Su. The old one is named Su Jing, and the young one is named Su Ku. These two people are not very good either. I advise your family to have less contact with their family. Su'an frowned. The relationship between the Su family and their family has always been good, and in a few days, they are not very close friends. It's just because of work that they have a good relationship. Su'an. Did their family do anything illegal or criminal? System. Almost so, they have their hands on the tragic ending of your family, and they still want to control your brother after something happens in your family. This is disgusting. Su'an feels like lice crawling on her body. No way. We must not let that tragic ending happen. Su's father and mother were also serious at the moment. They really didn't expect their long-standing good partner to have such cunning thoughts. Not only do they covet their son, but they also share in the tragic ending of their family. They believe they are not disrespectful to the Su family. The couple glanced at each other and then picked up their phones together. Su's mother and Su Jingyan mentioned what had just happened, while Su's father had someone investigate the Su family. Su'an has started talking about the one who likes Su's father again. Su'an. Isn't Uncle Zheng, who likes my dad, also malicious? The Su family quickly propped up their ears again and started listening. Su's mother also gave her husband a meaningful glance, and Su's father's goosebumps started to rise from her gaze. System. This Zheng Bin is good. Although he likes your father, he is a righteous person. In the original ending, he has been helping you all after your family had an accident, and later helped to deal with the aftermath of everyone in your family. In short, this person is a good person, so you also love your house and love your dog. Su'an's feelings upon hearing these words were a bit complicated, and the feelings of the Su family couple were also particularly complicated. Su's mother looked at her charming husband and said, "I didn't expect you to have such charm. It's amazing." Su's father wiped the cold sweat from his head and said, "I don't know that either. You can't just blame me for this crime. We were childhood sweethearts, and I'm the only one you know." Su's father and mother were classmates from junior high school to college. They dated in high school and got married at the age of college. It can be considered a childhood sweetheart, and for so many years, he has always been in love like never before. Su's father has never been distracted by anyone else, and his heart is entirely focused on his wife and a pair of children. Su Mu let out a small snort, indicating that he was quite sensible. However, this Jingbin is indeed a bit miserable. It's hard to say who you like, but you actually like a married man. Su'an also felt quite sad in her heart, but after knowing that Jingbin would not harm their family, she did feel a lot more at ease. Jingbin had a wife before, but after her early death, he never remarried. Many people thought he had a deep affection for his wife, but who knew he would have such thoughts. The melon eaten this morning was really wonderful, even though it was from my own body. After Su's father found out that Jingbin liked him, to be honest, he actually had no thoughts in his heart. He lives a happy life with a happy family, and it's someone else's business to like him, but it has nothing to do with him. However, he is still very grateful for Jingbin's help to their family after their death. At most, in the future, it will only be to maintain the current relationship, and there will be nothing else. Su's mother told Su Jingyan everything that had just happened, including Jingbin's incident. Su Jingyan sat in the car, staring at his phone in amazement. No, what kind of charm do the men in their family have? Why attract only men? His father is like this, and so is he. But that disgusting Su family needs to tidy up. Su Jingyan, like his father, immediately sent someone to investigate the Su family. At the foot of the agreed mountain, Tang was already holding something in waiting. Looking at his brothers from childhood in front of him, Su Jingyan's feelings were really complicated. Tang smiled and hugged him. You've only come out once after calling for so long. You've been really busy lately. Su Jingyan slightly distanced himself from him and said with a smile, it's really quite busy. The company's affairs are a bit difficult to handle. After chatting casually for a while, the two of them started climbing the mountain. They had all their camping supplies delivered in advance. After all, it was impossible to climb the mountain with a heavy load. Looking at Tang walking ahead with a normal expression and no sign of liking him, Su Jingyan felt a little suspicious of what the system was saying. However, he still put Su'an's anti-wolf spray in his pocket. The atmosphere between the two was also quite harmonious along the way, except for avoiding physical contact with Tang. Everything else was quite good. When Su Anan and Su's parents received the news of their meeting, these three people were sitting and restless at home. Su'an didn't know that her parents would read her heart, so she was afraid of exposing herself and went back to her room. After all, Su's father and Su's mother are old fogies. Although they are restless in heart, they still seem to be peaceful on the surface. The two of them are currently communicating privately by holding their phones and sending messages. Mother Su. I don't know what's going on, I'm a bit nervous. Su Fu. I'm also a bit nervous. How about finding something to do to divert my attention? Chapter 6. Tang's midnight actions. Su Jingyan runs down the mountain. You are listening at novel full.audio. After Su Jingyan and Tang climbed to the mountaintop, they set up a barbecue. Looking at the tent prepared by Su Jingyan, Tang smiled and said, didn't I tell you not to prepare anything? I have already prepared everything. Su Jingyan replied calmly, just in case, it's good to have a spare one. Tang glanced at the tent but didn't say anything more. The two of them seemed to have a good atmosphere chatting about work and life. Su Jingyan looked at Tang across from him and let out a slight sigh in his heart. The two grew up together since childhood. It would be great if Tang didn't have these messy thoughts. Their interests, hobbies, and temperaments are not much different, otherwise they wouldn't have been playing together for so long. Looking at the dark sky, Tang packed his things and said, it's getting late. Let's rest early. We still need to take a sunrise photo tomorrow morning. It's rare to come here. It's a pity not to take a photo. Su Jingyan nodded and started setting up the tent. The tent they set up is an automatic tent that is convenient and fast. Tang looked at these two tents and couldn't help but say, we should just use one. It's quite cold on the mountain, and sleeping together can provide warmth. Upon hearing these words, Su Jingyan felt a thump in his heart, but he didn't show it on his face. Let's have 2 tents instead. 2 tents are more convenient and won't affect each other's sleep. Just kidding, how could 2 people share a tent? Even if he didn't know that Tang liked him, he couldn't have slept in the same tent with 2 men. Tang didn't speak anymore when he heard him say that. In the middle of the night, the wind on the mountaintop was still quite strong. Fortunately, their things were well prepared, otherwise they might really be frozen. After listening to the commotion outside, Su Jingyan felt drowsy for a while. From the beginning until now, Tang had not exposed anything, maybe it was really a system error. At 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, Su Jingyan was awakened by a sound of high awareness outside. He opened his eyes slightly and saw the figure outside the tent. Judging from his figure, he knew it was Tang, so he lay quietly in his sleeping bag and watched the movements of the people outside. According to his old father, he really came with a lock to lock the zipper, so no matter what people outside did, they would never be able to open the tent. Tang is also looking restless outside at this moment. How could he not pull it away? What the hell is going on here? I finally had the opportunity to come out together, and I don't know when it will be the next time. Su Jingyan silently holds the anti-wolf spray in his hand in the tent. Now he can be sure that the system is true, or someone will come to get someone's tent in the middle of the night. At this moment, Su Jingyan's heart was really speechless. Why did such a ridiculous thing happen to him? And their father and son have both encountered such a thing, which is really eye-opening. Su Jingyan has already thought about it. If Tang really opens the tent, he will directly spray it with the spray, and casually find an excuse to say that he was frightened, so he sprayed the mosquito repellent. At this moment, the 3 members of the family are also anxious. It's already midnight, so there shouldn't be anything happening. Su'an is lying in bed tossing and turning, occasionally asking about the system. The system can indeed know what's going on over there, but it's really annoying to ask and ask. You've already asked 4 or 5 times, haven't I told you all about it without success? Your brother is quite cautious and even locked the tent with a lock. Tang is unable to take action outside your brother's tent now. Don't worry. He can't eat your brother's tofu. Su'an felt a little relieved when she heard this, but how could her brother bring the lock over? At this moment, Su's parents are also sending messages to their son with their phones. There's nothing they can do. They can't possibly not worry. Su Jingyan's thoughts were all on Tang outside, so he didn't even notice the news on his phone. Tang didn't open it after working for half an hour, and eventually gave up. Where exactly is this ghost tent from? Why can't you even open the zipper? Tang lay in his sleeping bag, furious to death. Watching the people outside leave, Su Jingyan breathed a slight sigh of relief. Looking at the message sent by his phone, he reported a safe passage. Since it has been confirmed that what the system said is true, it is better to avoid coming out with Tang in the future. Friendly relationships can be maintained, but intimate relationships are not. The next morning, after taking a few random photos, Su Jingyan found an excuse to go down the mountain. Are you so busy with work? I've only been out all night and I'm in a hurry to go back. It's hard to tell from Tang's face what he did last night. It has to be said that this person's patience skills are really impressive. Su Jingyan is also very clever. If it weren't for the system reminder, he wouldn't have been able to discover Tang's thoughts. Su Jingyan's face remained calm as usual and said, "There's nothing I can do. Currently, I handle all the affairs of the company, big and small, all by myself, so work is indeed quite busy. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. You should go back early too. It won't be easy to set the mountain when the sun comes out later." On the way down the mountain, Su Jingyan ran almost all the way. The driver waiting at the foot of the mountain originally thought that the boss would take some time to come down, but when he was far away, he saw a figure running down quickly, looking a bit panicked. The driver squinted his eyes and looked carefully. Who is that? Running down the mountain so fast is really not afraid of falling. At this moment, Su Jingyan thought to himself. Go home quickly. It wasn't until Su Jingyan ran closer to the driver that he recognized him. Boss. Surprisingly, it was the boss who rushed all the way. Su Jingyan saw the driver quickly turn steady again, but the sweat on his forehead still exposed him. Let's go home. The driver nodded in a daze. The boss must have had his intentions when he ran down like this. He, as an ordinary person, would definitely not understand. The driver directly convinced himself. On the way back, Su Jingyan was still thinking about what happened last night. The more I think about him, the more I feel a headache, damn it. He wants to use foul language. Su'an and his parents had been waiting for him to come back at home early in the morning, and their whole family had not slept well that night. Su'an pressed her head against two large black circles under her eyes and said, Have you come back? Have you come back? System. Already on the road. Why are you so annoying? How could this person be so annoyed that even this system can't bear it? Su's parents sat on the sofa looking very calm, but their fingers flying up while typing on their phones exposed them. Chapter 7. Indulge in wool. Your brother is almost choking to death. You are listening at novel full.audio. Waiting left and right always brings people back at 8 o'clock. Su Jingyan's hair was disheveled and her clothes were also wrinkled. Seeing her like this, Su Anan immediately widened her eyes and frantically asked the system in her heart. System. What's going on here? My brother feels like he's been ravaged. Didn't you say nothing happened last night? The system was a bit suspicious when she asked, and it carefully looked at it. Yesterday, nothing really happened. I guarantee with my integrity. Nothing really happened yesterday. Su'an was skeptical, and the hearts of the eavesdroppers, Su's father and mother, were restless. If their hearts were not good, they would be gone now. After Su Jingyan came in, he didn't speak and went straight to the kitchen to get something to eat. He was almost starving, so he didn't distract himself from listening to Su Anan's voice. He came back without eating anything in the morning, who knows how hungry he is now. But his appearance made Su'an even more suspicious. Su'an slowly moved to her old brother's side and cautiously inquired, Brother, did you have a good time last night? Su Jingyan glanced at the sneaky Su Anan, feeling a bit speechless inside. No, your appearance is afraid that others won't know your secret, right? I'm quite happy, but the wind was strong at night and I didn't sleep well. Not sleeping well. Another piece of evidence of being ravaged. Upon hearing Su Anan's inner thoughts, Su Jingyan choked on a piece of bread and couldn't go down. What the hell? What exactly is she thinking in her mind? She can't think of anything normal all day long. Watching Su Jingyan's face turn increasingly red, Su Anan thought he was pondering what happened last night. If he hadn't thought about what happened last night, why did his face turn so red? Su'an. Tongzi, I feel like my brother is quite intoxicated from his expression. Su's parents almost fainted when they heard this. The system said speechlessly and anxiously, drunk with yarn. Your brother is almost choking to death. Ah. Su's father looked at his son's red and purple face and slapped him with 10 dragon-slaying slaps. Something stuck in Su Jingyan's throat was suddenly photographed. Looking at the silly little sister next to her who had not yet reacted, Su Jingyan's hand suddenly felt a bit itchy. Is this person lacking a muscle in their brain? Still intoxicated with your head. He was almost choking to death, and she was still pondering over what he had been intoxicated with last night. Su's mother looked at her son's clenched fist and quickly pulled her silly daughter aside. Your brother is also tired, so don't disturb him here. Go play with your own things. Su'an was directly kicked out of the kitchen, and looking at the closed kitchen door, she suddenly felt isolated. Tongzi, am I being isolated? Didn't my parents always favor me before? Why do I feel like they're starting to favor my brother now? System. Can you stop calling me Tongzi? How did you come up with such a tacky name? Su'an. Isn't this to show that I am very familiar with you? Our relationship is so close, and I think it's good to be called Tongzi. Are you sure my brother didn't do anything last night? System. I've told you so many times, nothing happened. I just went to check again, and your brother became like this because he ran down the mountain like crazy. Rushing down the mountain. A scene suddenly appeared in Su An's mind, the gorilla descending the mountain, still the kind of gorilla pounding its chest. System. In the kitchen, Su Jingyan is telling her parents in detail about what happened last night. Su Mu skillfully took out a handful of melon seeds from the kitchen cabinet and nibbled on them, coughing and listening, looking very serious. So what should you do with your future relationship? After all, you grew up together from a young age, so it's not appropriate to just cut off your relationship inexplicably. Su's father also felt quite sad in his heart. After all, that child was also one he had watched grow up from a young age. Who knew he had such thoughts in his heart? Su Jingyan is also feeling a headache now. Let's just do this for now. Just maintain a friendly relationship and try to minimize spending time alone in the future. At present, we can only do this. After finishing his meal, Su Jingyan went back to his room to take a shower and catch up on his sleep. It wasn't until noon that he woke up full of energy. Just as soon as I woke up, I heard my parents arguing. What does Jingbin want to ask you out alone? I can tell you, you have to be considerate of me. Although Su Mu believes in her husband's heart and Jingbin's personality, she is not very happy when she thinks that her husband is so missed by a man. Su's father was also in a difficult situation at the moment. What do you want me to do? I can't refuse people asking me to go fishing. We often go fishing together, and besides, their behavior is very appropriate. Su's mother said, didn't I agree that you went out? I just wanted you to be careful. Su Jingyan. I almost forgot that my father also has an admirer. What's going on with the man in their family? However, Uncle Zheng is different from Tang Zhe. Every time Uncle Zheng comes to their house, he is very polite and loves them very much. He also treats his mother with great respect and gets along well with his father. If we can maintain this all the time, it's good. On the surface, the relationship is just friendship. However, as Su's father was preparing to leave with his fishing tools, Su Jingyan still reminded him, Dad, pay attention to propriety. Su Fu. No. What exactly are these things? What kind of magic is there in their father and son? This makes him afraid to go out alone, but it's not easy to refuse. Suddenly, Su's father thought of Su'an, who was chasing dramas and eating snacks upstairs. Yes. Take this girl with you. When Su'an was pulled down, she was still wearing pajamas. Looking at her father with shining eyes, she shrank her neck and whispered, I don't seem to have made any mistakes lately. She thought carefully about what she had done recently and made sure that she hadn't made any mistakes. Besides, she seldom went out to party with those plastic sisters recently. Su's father suddenly laughed at her, with a hint of flattery on his face. Good daughter, do you want to go fishing with Dad? You've never caught a fish before, haven't you? Why don't you try it with Dad today? Looking at her father's wrinkled face, Su Anan took 2 steps back and couldn't help but ask her brother, maybe Dad wants to sell me. Su Jingyan. Can't his family be more normal? Chapter 8. New Melon. Brothers and wives are the most fragrant. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After being pushed into the car, Su Anan's heart was full of ups and downs. Why did he inexplicably take her fishing? She always felt strange. Thinking about it, she asked the system, Tongzi, what is my dad doing? He never took us fishing before. What's the point today? System. Fishing is just fishing, and I haven't detected anything. He really wants to go fishing. As for why he took you, I don't know. Maybe he needs a bait to take you over and use it as bait. Su'an. Tongzi, you've been studying hard in such a short time. Upon hearing the conversation between Su'an and the system, Su's father immediately felt a lot of peace of mind. If you come out to play in the future, let's take this girl out and rest assured. After arriving at the fishing spot, Su Anan saw Jingbin from a long distance. Su'an. Tongzi. My dad came over to have a private meeting with someone else. System. Su Fu. Can this girl really speak? What does it mean he came out and had a private meeting with someone else? If he really had a private meeting with someone else, would he bring her along? Brother Su, Jingbin greeted them with a smile, and his smile deepened when he saw Su Anan. Anan is also here. Would you like uncle to teach you how to fish today? I will definitely guarantee that you will catch a big fish. Looking at the smile on Jingbin's face, Su Anan's heart suddenly calmed down. Uncle Zheng is really different from others. Without the system prompt, others wouldn't be able to tell who he likes. Su's father has already taken out his fishing equipment and just brought a small fishing rod to Su Anan. Here you are. Looking at the small fishing rod in her hand, Su Anan said. No, you're just being perfunctory, at least give me a more normal tool. Do you want me to go fishing for screws with this thing? The funniest thing is that Su's father didn't even give her bait, he only moved a small chair for her and placed it between him and Jingbin. Su'an. System, is my dad going to make me play Jiang Taigong fishing and get hooked? Where's the bait? System. I heard that fishing has a beginner's stage, and it should still be in the beginner's stage. It doesn't matter if you have bait, so go ahead. Su'an. Su's father almost couldn't help but laugh when he heard the system's words. The system is getting more and more fun, and the speech is also getting more and more interesting. Seeing that she didn't have any bait here, Jingbin thoughtfully prepared it for her. Anan, I've put the bait here for you. Just hang a little bit on the hook every time. Don't hang too much or too little. Wait until you catch Uncle Big Fish and bake fish for you to eat. Su'an nodded forcefully. It was still Uncle Zheng who was reliable, and I don't know how such a reliable person would see her father. Su Fu. What's wrong with him? He's at least charming and charming, isn't he? Perhaps beginners really have a protection period. Both Su Fu and Jingbin have not opened yet, and Su'an's side is like purchasing goods, one after another. Su'an's mouth was almost cracking with a smile. Ha ha ha, it's a bountiful harvest. It seems that I still have some talent for fishing. Looking at the fish in his daughter's bucket, Su's father felt jealous in his heart. They are all in this area, why did she catch all the fish? It shouldn't be. There are quite a few people coming to this fishing spot to fish, and their clothing and attire are not very ordinary. It seems that this place is also a membership system. After fishing for an hour, more and more people came to fish nearby, and Su Anan's stalking speed also slowed down. Sitting for a long time makes people feel a bit bored, so Su'an started chatting with the system again. Su'an. Tongzi, is there any gossip in this place? Hurry up and tell me something to relieve stress. System. Yes, there is, but which one do you want to listen to? I have to say that your circle is really chaotic. Su'an searched around and suddenly saw a very familiar person not far away. Isn't this a famous model husband in the wealthy circle? His love story with his wife is widely circulated. His wife comes from an ordinary background, and marrying him is a standard Cinderella marrying into a wealthy family. The two of them have been married for many years, and their love has remained the same. But who is the woman next to that man? It doesn't seem like he's his wife. Su'an. System, who is the woman next to the man over there? He is a well-known model husband in our circle. How come he still comes out to play with others? Upon hearing these words, Su's father immediately turned his head, and the speed almost made Jingbin think his head was twitching. Brother Su, are you okay? Su's father awkwardly smiled and said, It's okay, it's just a little neck movement. Good guy, I didn't expect to catch a fish and get a new melon. The system has started answering Su'an's questions. That's not a model husband. All these years of marital relationships have been advertised, and he married his wife just because she is easy to control. After all, he was born into an ordinary family and promoted a model husband and wife for the sake of their external image. Su'an frowned with disgust, thinking that these two people were truly in love. It turned out that they were portrayed again. This is really like a play in life. Su'an. Who is that woman next to him? Isn't she still his lover who was raised outside? System. Not lover, it's his brother's wife. Su'an, Sufu. I'll go. Amazing. Su's father quickly moved the chair to this side, but Jingbin didn't think much because he thought he was hiding from the sun. Su'an. Does his brother know about the two of them? He shouldn't have been kept in the dark, right? System. You know, isn't his brother there too? If you see the chubby guy sitting next to him, that's his brother. Damn it. The third view has been refreshed again. Su'an and Sufu's eyes were almost strabismus, and Jingbin couldn't notice them. They wanted to eat the melon over there, so their eyes were almost squinting and rolling. So I said that your circle is playing very recklessly. Is it because you have money that you seek excitement? Others' wives are more attractive than your own wives, right? Su's father really wanted to refute the system's words, but he couldn't say it, otherwise he would expose his own abilities. He is a filial husband in his 20s, but he has never done anything wrong to his family. Don't beat him to death with those men in this system, how unfair he is. Looking at the intimate family of three over there, Su's father felt an itch in his heart. He really wanted to share this melon with his wife. That model husband's name is Li Yun, and his wife's name is Chen Shuhua. Su's mother and Chen Shuhua also have some contact in their daily lives. When they have free time, they also go out shopping together and participate in the wife bureau together. I don't know if Chen Shuhua knows about Li Yun's messy things. Chapter 9. The men and women who harmed their family mainly appeared. You are listening at novel full.audio. Su'an continued to pester the system to eat other melons after eating this one. There are really many melons in this small fishing ground. And there are also many who destroy our values. These people look humanoid, but the things they do behind their backs are really disgusting. After learning about these melons, Su's father really wanted to share them with others, so he added his wife and son to a group called Eating Melon Family. But this family excludes Su'an. After all, these melons are all from her. He posted everything he knew in this group, describing and sighing at the same time. Here he truly witnessed the diversity of people, some of whom could hardly be called humans. But fortunately, the people here are just morally questionable and there are no illegal or criminal activities, otherwise we would really have to find an opportunity to report to the police. Su's mother is currently gathering with those ladies, and Chen Shuhua is also among them. Looking at these melons sent by Su's father, she was truly stunned. She looked at Chen Shuhua and smiled softly. On the surface, she could not see whether she knew her husband's affairs. However, these two people are really impressive. They have been running under the name of model couple for decades. If it weren't for the system's reminder, they would have thought their relationship was very good. Su Jingyan was in the company and looked at a group that his father suddenly created, so he took 2 more glances. After taking 2 more glances, he was stunned. The strange things inside completely shattered his 3 senses. I didn't expect those people to appear humanoid on the surface and play so beautifully behind their backs. Most of the people at that fishing ground are middle-aged bosses, and many of their sons are known by Su Jingyan. It is unclear whether their sons are aware of their father's romantic affairs. On the fishing ground, Su Anan caught more fish than Zhengbin and Su Fu combined, and each one was a big fish. Zhengbin also fulfilled his promise and prepared a grilled fish feast for Su'an. Looking at the gentle Zhengbin, Su Anan sighed in her heart and said, "Uncle Zheng is really nice, but his vision is really not good." Upon hearing these words, Su's father quietly rolled his eyes. She had said these words many times that day, and he had a bad eye, right? I used to feel a bit uncomfortable with Zhengbin in my heart, but when this stinky girl got involved, this discomfort disappeared. Since they are well hidden, they just treat it as if they don't know, there is no need to expose this matter. On the way back, Su'an leaned back in her seat drowsy, feeling quite tired from eating melons. After all, she had to use her brain. The comfortable days of eating melons pass by quickly every day. Originally, Su'an thought that life could go on so peacefully, but instead of looking for everything, she came to find her. I won't go. What am I going to do for this kind of banquet? Isn't this just a disguised blind date? Su'an was invited to a banquet, and most of the attendees were young masters and daughters in the circle. This could be considered a disguised blind date. Su'an's biggest annoyance is this kind of banquet, where the women dress up beautifully and the men all look like peacocks with open screens. Just treat it like you're going to play, and I don't necessarily want you to go there to find someone. Su's mother gestured on Su Anan's body one by one, holding the formal dress she had sent over. If you don't attend this kind of banquet, you will inevitably be criticized for being out of place and easily become a topic of conversation. Just like those cliques in the school class, whoever is not there will become a topic of discussion, and then various rumors will come out. Su's mother doesn't want Su Anan to be tarnished by those people. Your brother is also going with you. If you really don't like it, you can just pretend to be going for a meal. Su'an sighed and realized that everyone has their own difficulties. System. Go on, go on. There will be a big event tonight. The main characters in the legend have appeared. For members of the Su family, men and women have mainly appeared. The men and women who have harmed their family have mainly appeared. Su'an grabbed a formal dress and rushed into the cloakroom with a snap. Go, go. She would like to see what the legendary male and female protagonists look like. It's probably not an ordinary person to be able to cause their family to be destroyed. When Su'an went to change clothes, Su's parents and Su Jingyan exchanged a glance, with the same color on their faces. They really don't have any good feelings for the people who have harmed their whole family. Although we haven't met yet, this first impression is already bad. Looking at Su Anan in full swing, the system couldn't help but say, remember. Don't be the first to pick a fight. If you do, you'll be on the path of a malicious female supporting character again. Your task is to stand obediently on the side and stay away from the male and female leads. I'm not asking you to provoke the male and female leads at this banquet, but to let you identify individuals and see what they look like. If you encounter them in the future, stay away from them. Upon hearing these words, Su Anan sneered, why should I stay away? I haven't made any mistakes, why can't they stay away? System. Stop, stop. Hurry up and dispel this idea. Just because I ask you to stay away doesn't mean you're afraid of them. I'm afraid you'll get into a mess. After all, things happening around the male and female leads are very bizarre. After all, they are the male and female leads of this world. Just because you have awakened your world consciousness does not mean that others have also awakened their world consciousness. You must remember this. Su'an nodded reluctantly, forget it, nothing has happened yet, and the system prompt is also correct. At this moment, the three people outside also heard what the system was saying. After all, they were only separated by a door from Su'an. The three of them were holding their phones and sending messages. Mother Su. You two siblings need to be careful when you go there. If there is any situation, come back immediately. Su's father. Why don't we go? If we can't afford it, can't we still avoid it? Su Jingyan. We still have to go, as the system says. At least we need to go over and recognize the male and female leads, so that we don't even know who they are when we meet in the future. As for whether to contact them or not, we can discuss it later. He believes that their family will never go to the level that the system says. After Su'an changed her clothes and came out, Su's mother hugged her daughter and praised her. What kind of female protagonist, how could she possibly compare to her precious daughter? Her precious daughter's appearance is beyond words. Not to mention in this circle, there is no one in the entertainment industry, or anyone I usually see, who looks better than her precious daughter. Su'an's appearance, physique, and family background are indeed top of the line, otherwise she wouldn't be malicious enough to sit as the #1 female supporting character. Chapter 10. After becoming a monk, there are only 2 pieces of meat left to eat. You are listening at novel full.audio. The couple escorted the siblings out of the door until their car drove away. Su Fu touched the sweat on his wife's palm and comforted her, saying, "Don't worry. Troops for the enemy, earth for floods. What's more, we don't know nothing now. You should trust our son and daughter's ability." Su's mother said, "I believe in my son's ability, but as for my daughter's ability, it's not like eating, drinking, and sleeping." "How can you make me believe it?" Su Fu. This statement cannot refute what happened. To be honest, the first time he heard that their family was a villainous family and that their daughter was still the #1 militia supporting woman, he didn't believe it in his heart. That girl. What else can she do besides eating, drinking, and sleeping every day? Is it rolling around like a splash? Do you make dark cuisine? He still believes that the malicious thing she did was to make dark dishes to poison the male and female leads. After all, the thing she did could really poison people. Thinking of the day when their family was sent for gastric lavage, Su's stomach felt a bit uncomfortable. Being able to make dishes that can be eaten raw to that extent should also be considered an ability. Sitting in the car, Su'an was so nervous that she could hear her heartbeat. She asked the system anxiously, "Are you sure there won't be any plot controlling me?" Upon hearing these words, Su Jingyan also became a bit nervous. Su'an has read many novels, in which many malicious female characters are forcibly controlled by the plot and then do some messy things. System. No, it said that you have already awakened your consciousness, and others will be affected to some extent. Your words, that influence can be ignored for you. Su'an. What about my brother, my parents? They won't be controlled, will they? System. Their fate is closely related to you. In short, if you don't die, they won't have any problems. That's good. Su'an finally put down a dim sum. Su Jingyan glanced at the silly little sister beside him, unable to imagine her doing something bad. The only thing this girl has done since childhood is to throw cannons into his backpack and his parents' bedding. At that time, he was still in high school, and this girl bought some throwing cannons. Later, she didn't know what came up, so she put the cannons in his backpack and his parents' bed. That day, he came to the classroom with his backpack and placed it on the seat. The person next to him accidentally pressed it with his hand. Good guy. The crackling sound made the entire classroom quiet, and for the first time, Su Jingyan felt like she wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl in. That night, after taking a shower and getting ready to go to bed, my parents opened the blanket and didn't even look up. They sat on it, but the crackling sound caused my dad to explode. Later, this girl was punished again. According to her father, his buttocks were numb for 3 whole days. At the thought of this, Su Jingyan's lips couldn't help but curl. Actually, upon careful consideration, some things used to be quite fun. Su'an sat next to him and watched his brother show a strange smile. What? Did you think of something? Why did you suddenly smile? Tongzi. My brother shouldn't be thinking of spring, right? Upon hearing these words, the smile on Su Jingyan's lips instantly disappeared. Su'an. Damn it. Face changing. System. Su Jingyan. What should I do if I feel like beating someone? Can I still beat my younger sister when she's over 20? This banquet was hosted by the Lu family, who are top-notch aristocrats and even more powerful than their Su family. There is not much interaction between the two families, and most of them are business transactions. Su'an doesn't know much about the Lu family, only knowing that the only one in power now is the only son of the Lu family. Mr. and Mrs. Lu handed over the company to their son after he became an adult. She forgot the name of this top-tier tycoon, but she didn't have much contact with him anyway. This banquet was hosted by Mrs. Lu, which is also one of the reasons why Su Mu asked her to come. If she didn't come alone, wouldn't she openly offend the Lu family? Others thought you didn't give them face. System. His name is Lu Siheng, and you don't even know the name of the host when you come to attend their banquet. Do you think this is appropriate? Su'an. Then I haven't had any contact with him again. Why do I need to know his name? Isn't it called Mr. Lu outside? If you see him then, just follow me and call him Su Jingyan. What's wrong with being a bit speechless? Fortunately, this girl doesn't work in the company, otherwise she wouldn't even remember the names of her partners. What kind of business is this? Suddenly, Su'an thought of something. She immediately asked the system, Tongzi. You tell me. This Lu is always the male lead. The only son of a top-level wealthy family, he must not be inferior in appearance. This identity and status. Isn't this the configuration of a male lead? System. It is indeed a male lead configuration, but he is not the male lead. The male lead is his cousin Ji Yunyang, who is currently living with him. Su'an. Damn it. The plot of Long Outyan is right. First, he will be humble and then step by step face up. This Mr. Lu will not be humiliated in the future. Then all the assets of the Lu family will be taken by the male lead, and he will become a stepping stone under his feet. The more she thought about it, the more she felt the possibility, and suddenly felt a little sympathy for what was always going on with Lu. System, Su Jingyan. It's a pity that you don't have the brain to write novels. The novel industry has really lost a lot of talent without you. Su Jingyan and Lu Siheng have also met a few times, and his feelings towards this person are unfathomable. How could such a person be used as a stepping stone by others? As for his cousin, he had heard of it before but had never seen it before. He heard that he had been in the Lu family since he was in his teens due to an accident at home. Su'an's mind is now filled with some scenes of Long Outyan slapping him, hoping that Mr. Lu can suppress him and prevent him from causing trouble to others. At this moment, Lu Siheng, who was at home, sneezed inexplicably. Mrs. Lu asked anxiously, "Did you catch a cold?" Lu Siheng shook his head and said, "I haven't caught a cold, Mom. I have some work matters to deal with, so I'll go upstairs first." After speaking, he went upstairs, and Mrs. Lu looked at his back with a worried expression on her face. This banquet was held for him, but he didn't even pay attention and was still thinking about work at this time. Can't he give himself a day off? "Auntie, you're worrying about your cousin's affairs again." Ji Yunyang walked over and poured a glass of water for Mrs. Lu. Mrs. Lu looked at her nephew and sighed, "Your cousin is already 27 years old this year, and there hasn't been any news yet. At this age, he shouldn't be talking about getting married, but at least he has been in a few romantic relationships. He lives just like a monk, and he only has 2 pieces of meat left to eat before becoming a monk." Upon hearing these words, Ji Yun's mouth twitched. Not to mention, this metaphor is quite vivid.